It's the Kubota F2400. These came with like mower decks and stuff. This one we got with a plow blade on it. And it used to have side doors and tent stuff to close that cab in. Plow blade and all that tent stuff went away a long time ago. I'm not sure what happened to it. I bought this at an auction, and as they were offloading this at the auction, they dropped it. They broke the transaxle. So needless to say, it's really, it's not worth fixing as a little tractor like it is. Even though it's four-wheel drive, it'd be a good little unit. But I just bought that Skidsteer with bad engine, and I'm kind of thinking just maybe this little 3-cylinder diesel engine might be the ticket in that little Skidsteer. So I think what I'm going to do is fire this thing up, see how the engine sounds, and then see if I can extract this out of here to use on that little Skidsteer. This air meter says 1,342 hours. If that is accurate, when I have no reason to believe it's not, that little engine's got a lot of life left in it. On that little Skidsteer, it has the 2 fuel tanks built into the frame, and I'm thinking that right there is a good fuel tank to have, rather than trying to clean the rust and scale out of those old tanks, because they're part of the frame on that Skidsteer. So cleaning that's going to be a challenge. There are acid baths you can use to clean those. It's time consuming and expensive, and I don't think there's anything wrong with this tank. I just opened up the radiator and it doesn't show any signs of antifreeze down there. I'm not sure. It's been sitting a few years now. I'm not sure if it just evaporated out of there or if we developed a leak. Where it was sitting, I didn't see any signs of a leak. I'm going to get this thing started this morning. If I can talk between dog barks. So, got the battery hooked up. And I tried to start this before I had the transmission engaged. So what I did was just push the clutch in and put a pair of vice grips to hold it down. Since the transmission is broke, then I don't have to run the transmission and possibly seize up the transmission pump on it, and then that won't let me warm the engine up like I want. So I want to get this thing thoroughly warmed up and make sure that's the engine I'm going to put in the old 1700. Well, getting this to run was pretty straightforward. You know, get fuel to it, bleed out the fuel system. It's been sitting for quite a number of years. Making sure it had oil and antifreeze in it. We did figure out that there's a small leak in the radiator. That was probably from when that auction company dropped this and broke that transaxle. But anyway, radiator leaks can be fixed, and it looks like it's going to run out really good. It's a small 3-cylinder diesel engine. It should run that little skid steer just fine. It had a 4-cylinder Ford engine in it. I think it was a 2.1 cubic inch V4. This diesel should have as much or more torque than that little V4 gas engine. We're going to try it out, see if it'll run that skid steer pretty good. Skid steer doesn't need to have a lot of power, it just needs to be able to function. So now the next steps, of course, are to tear this engine out of this chassis on this lawn tractor and see what it's going to require to build motor mounts and get the coupler attached to the skid steer. So that's going to be coming up in future videos. Of course, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to videotape all the procedures tearing this thing apart. So that'll probably be the next video coming up, more than likely.